What's up everyone, this is SliferKing here, and today I'm finally bringing to you my deck profile of Naturias. Admittedly, I've been working on this for quite a while, but there was a little bit of a delay in making this video, but I will explain the reason why during this video. So yes, Naturias. I actually thought about building Naturias quite a number of years ago, but at the time they were actually surprisingly pricey to make because some of the cards badly needed reprints. Unfortunately, we had Hidden Arsenal. We had the Hidden Arsenal Volume 1. So yes, that gave us a lot of the Naturias that needed reprints. So yes. So obviously I'll be going through the main deck first. So yes, let's get on with it. So first off, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Naturia Bamboo Shoot. I was testing this originally at 3, but most of the time Bamboo Shoot actually kind of ended up being a dead draw, and most of the time I didn't actually end up going for plays using Bamboo Shoot. So that's why I decided to keep it 2. It's quite a handy card to have just in case in certain situations, but most of the time I didn't end up using it too much, so that's why I've kept it 2. Next up, we have 3 of Naturia Cherries. I think pretty much every Naturia deck runs 3 of these. So if one of these is sent from the fields to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can special summon up to 2 Naturia Cherries from the deck in face down defense position. Also, this is a level 1 tuner and a plant, and this is actually important to another one of my mini strategies that I have later on in the deck. Next up, we're running 3 of Pumpkin. Oops, sorry, there goes one of the cherries. So yes, Pumpkin is basically your ability to get another Naturia from the hand and special summon it while an opponent controls a monster. So it's basically a quicker way to go for the Synchros. I'm also running 3 of Fruit Fly. The reason I'm running 3 is because I did try a couple of combos, but I feel like with Fruit Fly, it gives me the ability to help with the power deficit sometimes, because sometimes I had like 3 or 4 Naturias in the field, Fruit Fly being one of them, and obviously it gave the Naturias a bit of an advantage, because what Fruit Fly does is for all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose 300 attack and defense for each face-up Naturia monster you control. Also, once per turn, you can select one face-up Naturia, so one face-up monster your opponent controls with 0 defense, and take control of it until the end phase. That last bit isn't necessarily too much too used, but there are some cards which have 0 defense, but it's mainly that first effect, the reason why. So there is the end. Oh, sorry, I got one last 3 of, and that is 3 Naturia Yugioh. So Yugioh, so when an opponent special summons a monster, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower Naturia monster from the deck. So it's also another quick way to get out some more Naturias if needed. Yeah, so it's just another way to spam the field, which obviously is very much needed. So that's the end of the 3s. Oh no, sorry, there's another one. So this is the last of the 3s. The last I'm running is Naturia Cosmo Beat. So when your opponent normal sets a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So yet again, another way to get a quick Naturia to the field. And also, it's a level 2 tuner, so that also comes in handy. Right, now we're definitely into the 2-offs. So first off, we're running 2 of Maroon. So this is a searcher. So when this is normal summon, you can send 1 Naturia monster from the deck to the graveyard. And then once per turn, you can target 2 Naturia monsters in the graveyard, shuffle both those targets into your deck, then draw 1 card. So it isn't a searcher, it's a draw engine. So yes, that's one of the kind of the weaknesses of this deck. So definitely having Maroon is definitely a good thing to have, in my opinion. And next up we have Naturia Butterfly. So this is the only, I think this is the only level 3 tuner I've got. Oh, sorry, no it isn't. I'm talking rubbish again. So yeah, once per turn, when your opponent monster declares an attack, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, negate the attack. So this is more of a defensive option, which does help in certain situations. And finally, we get to the one-offs. And actually, I'm only running one of Naturia Cliff. Most people run this at 2 or 3, but most of the time I didn't actually use Naturia Cliff as much as the other ones, because I think with the modern game being as fast paced as it is, I don't think Naturia Cliff works well as it did back in the day when Naturia's first came out. Mainly because its effect. So when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Naturia from the deck in attack position. Most times the opponent will have a lot of monsters out, so that's why I'm only running one, because I feel like it's more important to get to the synchros than do a slow play. Hence the reason I've got one of Naturia Dragonfly. This is another defensive option. There's also a level 4 which does come in handy. So this card cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster that has 2000 more attack. This card gains 200 attack for each Naturia monster in the graveyard. So this is definitely a defensive option, but it can also help out late game if needed. And the last Naturia I'm running is Naturia Stinkbug. So this is another level 3. When a Naturia monster you control is targeted for an attack, and this is a quick effect, you can send this card from the field to the graveyard, negate the attack, and the battle phase. So this one is another defensive option, but I tend not to use this one as much, mainly because you have to have it on the field. But it is a level 3, so it does give me another option to go with, and I'll explain the reason why. And finally, I'm actually running one of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Like I've explained, most of the time my opponent is going to have more monsters than me, so I feel like having a Ghost Ogre does help, because when a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell/trap is already face up on the field, sorry, I misread that. When a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell/trap that is already on the face-up field activates its effect, you can send this card from your hands or field to the graveyard, destroy that card on the field. You can only use the effect of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit once per turn. So it's a little bit of a negation, which kind of does help out. So that's all the monsters for Naturias. Now we move on to the spells. I'm actually going to now pretty much all the spells in Naturias is generic, but I will explain one or two choices I've had. So first off, we're running our duo of Yugioh and Harpy's Feather Duster, just to make sure we've got a little bit of clearance. 1 for 1, so I can get those Naturia cherries. Monster Reborn, so I can help get the Synchro plays in order. Pot of Avarice, a little bit of a recycling engine. Foolish Burial. This comes in handy later on with one of the traps in the deck. I'll explain why. Foolish Burial, so this helps out with monster plays, especially with Maroon. Then we have Miracle Synchro Fusion. In testing, I haven't actually got the opportunity to use this yet, surprisingly enough. But there is a couple of fusions which Naturias use, which use the Synchros. So I feel like this is probably a good option to have. And then we have Drag Down into the Grave. So it's kind of a draw engine, but also helps out with certain plays. And then we have possibly the most random card in the deck, I have to admit, and that is one copy of Tuna's High. So with this, I actually found that playing this actually gave me a couple of opportunities, because with Tuna's High, what it does is I discard one monster, then special summon from your deck one Tuna monster with the same original type and attribute, but one level higher than the discarded monster. So let's say you've got Naturia Cherries and you want to get a monster onto the field. So then you could activate Tuna's High. Then you could get out a level 2 insect, which would be a... Sorry, is that plant? Yes, it was. So then you could get out like a Cosmo Beat, which isn't level 2 Tuna. So that will be a way to get another monster onto the field and also help out with different level synchros if needed. So that's the reason I run one of those. I don't play it all the time, but it's nice to have as an option, I feel like. So those are the spells. And finally, we get to the traps, and this one's a bit more simple. So we get, so we have 2 Naturia Sacred Tree. So this is the card that Foolish Burial Goods would be used for. So basically send this to the graveyard, and its effect is, so yeah, so those are the, so if it's sent to the graveyard, I can add one Naturia card from the deck to the hand, except Sacred Tree. Can only use one of the following effects. So this would also be a way to get some different plant monsters onto the field or insects if needed. So yeah, it's a decent searcher. And then we have just a couple of generic cards. 3 back to the front just to get a couple of monsters back on the field. 3 Crackdown, so that might help with Synchro plays. 1 Solomon Strike, and finally 1 Solomon Warning. So that is the main deck. And now for the Synchros. So for the Synchros, I'm running 2 of Barkion and also 2 of Beasts. These are probably the main ones you're going to be going for most of the time. There are also 2 other Naturias. Obviously, you've got Leo Drake and you've got Landois. So those are the Naturia Synchros. But I'm also running 1 copy of Coral Dragon. Sometimes this does help, and this does help on the odd occasion. So I feel like that might be a little bit of a good tech card. Then for another level 7 with Black Rose Dragon, and then for a level 8 Stardust Dragon. Then for the fusions, we've got Naturia Yugioh. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I mentioned earlier that there was a little bit of a delay making this deck profile, and it turns out I didn't actually have a copy of this card, so I had to order it. So yeah, that's partly the reason why this deck profile is a little bit late. Funny enough. And the other Naturia we have is Exterior. So yes, these cards require the Synchros, so that's why I run Miracle Synchro Fusion, because the majority of the time I'm not going to be using these unless the Synchros are in the graveyard. So these are definitely more of a late game card. And then just to finish off, I'm running a couple of Exceeds. I'm running 1 Traptrix Alumirus. This does work with plant monsters, so I figured it might. This does work with insects and plants, so this could be maybe an intriguing tech card. Then just a couple more generic ones. 1/1 Solomon Arc, Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon, which, fun fact, is my favourite Exceed. Maybe I should do a list on that. And finally, a defensive option and Gargaga Cowboy. So there has been my Naturia deck profile. Is it the most competitive in the world? Absolutely not. I'm not even going to deny that. But it is a fun deck. It is a fun deck to use when it goes right. So yes, just because it's not necessarily the most competitive doesn't mean it's not necessarily a fun deck. So yes, I suppose one question I should answer, if anyone is asking, is what will be the next deck profile and when will that likely be up? Admittedly, there isn't anything too major coming out. Obviously, we got Ghosts from the Past 2 coming out, but there isn't really anything deck profile-esque apart from Rainbow Dragon. And Konami has just announced that there is going to be a Crystal Beast Struts deck coming out in the summer, so I probably won't be updating that till then. I haven't done an update for Dragonities, so that could be something in the pipeline, but I'm not making any guarantees yet. So there has been a Naturia deck profile for May of 2022. If you've enjoyed this week's video, then please make sure to like this video and subscribe to know when my newest openings or deck profiles will be coming out. And also be free to check out some of the other deck profiles I've done. I hope you've enjoyed, and for now, this is SliferKing signing out.